Award season is upon us, and among the many gold statues that will be handed out this year, few compare to the prestige of the Academy Awards. The Oscars are widely seen as the gold standard for film recognition, and today, on this episode of Script or Screen, we're taking a look at the films and filmmakers who make up this year's nominations. And the nominees are...
Christopher Kitchen for Script or Screen, Zach Strackman for Script or Screen, Billy Blesser for Script or Screen, and the award goes to Billy Blesser.
Woo!
Thank you, Billy. Thank
oh my
you.
Gosh.
And welcome back to this episode of Script or Screen, or I guess to the show in general. Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hello.
I am Christopher, the Script Kitchen, alongside my co-host, Zachary, the Screen Strackman. Zach, how are you doing?
What's going on, ladies, gentlemen, everything in the middle? How's it hanging?
Zach, we are in the midst of award season. It is upon us. It is here.
We've made it.
We have, actually, a long and desperate cling to the media that we hold near and dear to our hearts. It's finally in its peak, as they would say. Actually, I don't know if it's in its peak, but it's definitely the time of year where everybody's definitely raving about everything.
This is the one. We're coming up on the one award ceremony that everyone collectively agrees is the most important. Although you I think value the awards a little more than I do. I see them as just a gold statue, and you know it's time for Hollywood to pat itself on the back. But I it's important, I suppose.
I don't know about you. I kind of just grew up watching them with like my parents and things like that. Like I just loved that, there were several nights throughout the year that we could all just kind of watch around the TV or gather around the TV and just kind of, get a couple film recommendations and just kind of watch our favorite celebrities and such kind of dance around on stage and decide what was good and what wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you say a film is better because it receives an Academy nomination as well as the award itself, or no?
I don't think it's necessarily guaranteed that it is a good movie. I've seen some pretty big stinkers get nominated and win. So I think, as I understand it, I don't claim to have a lot of insider knowledge, but from what I've heard from various filmmakers on various podcasts and interviews and whatnot, they say that the process of getting your film up for consideration is a highly complicated and political thing. You have to host events and
it's funny. I think I heard Kevin Smith say something about that.
Exactly, he's recently. One of them.
Yeah.
Where it would be great to know that the film just stands on its own and that's enough of a reason. But I guess it's an old system, an old institution that is thankfully as we're moving into I guess further along in time, the standards by which they judge these things are changing and progressing to a more open-minded thing.
Yeah, that's true. And at the same time, I feel like I don't know. I feel like at the heart, the types of films and movies that are also being are I guess that are shown in this in these leagues, right, of awards and nominations, they tend to be a lot different than what maybe they used to. They were back then. At this point, it's very rare that we get like big budget blockbusters and things like that in this category. It's now these films are a lot more personal in their stories, nuance in their characters, and just they have a lot more. I don't want to say they're a lot more artsy, but it just it caters to a very specific moviegoer or movie-going experience than the one maybe most people are used to. Um,
I definitely think this year offers an interesting roundup of kind of almost what I would say are films that go against what you might call Oscar bait.
yeah,
I feel like in the past there's like I can think of movies where they seem like designed specifically just to garner awards. Like, they might, that to say that might be selling them short, but sometimes that's certainly what it feels like, where you have actors, capital A actors, delivering impassioned monologues and screaming at the top of their lungs to show what a good actor they are and what a good picture it is. But sometimes, and I feel like what we got a lot of this year are more quiet, contemplative pictures that I feel depict a much more realistic corner of the world.
I would agree. Well, actually, I would agree to a certain degree, because some of these films, though, are just outright like, I mean, they're loud, but for the purpose of like, that's the story that they're telling, right? But this is an interesting year as well, because the majority of these films, they were made available to us via streaming and other kind of non-traditional movie theater going platforms. Some of them were just in like festival circuits for a while before they even were put out in theaters due to the pandemic and all the slew of reasons that COVID didn't allow for people to go see them. In fact, the majority of the ones that you and I saw, I saw all these films that we've written down. They were all viewed at home on my couch.
Yeah. I should say the only movies we have not seen, we're mainly going to be talking about the Best Picture category, because as for, not to...
did it just so happen that we watched films that were only in the Best Picture category? I didn't even pay attention to that.
No, not necessarily that, but like, there's a lot of movies that were nominated this year, a lot of animated movies, a lot of documentaries, short films, and international films that we did not have an opportunity to watch. Our resources are somewhat limited. When what would be a normal year for watching films was kind of interrupted, and there are some of the Best Picture nominees we had not had a chance to see. So Judas and the Black Messiah, neither of us was able to watch, or Promising Young Woman, both of which I've heard
on Best Picture. No, it is, it is as well. I wasn't able to watch that either.
Right. So I mean, for all those things, we can't speak to how good they are, but I would imagine from everything I've heard from them, they are just as deserving of any of these awards as any of the ones we have seen.
Yes, that's correct. Now, before we get into our thoughts on some of these nominations and films, I just want to remind everybody they could find at Script or Screen on all of our wonderful social media pages. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Script or Screen. Visit our website, www.scriptorscreen.com or anchor.fm/Script or Screen. There you can find all of our past episodes and leave us a message in case you have a question for us. Don't forget to comment, share with your friends, and let us know what you want to hear next on Script or Screen. Zach, this episode is kind of fun, given the fact that I'm gonna just reveal it for the audience. This is our second recording of this show. I don't know what possessed us to go into it before a little less informed than what we should have.
Hubris is what made us do it.
Yeah. We need a little less of that and a little more
humility.
Foresight.
A little more humility, and to discuss what we know we can talk about, not what we think we can talk about.
Exactly. And with the power of editing that Billy has blessed us with, here we are, and a more informed, and I want to say an overall more entertaining episode.
Yes, I hope so.
So we're not going to cover everything, all the awards, because you can Google most of them. But we'll cover some of the films that we saw. Some brief thoughts. It's not going to be too in depth, in deep.
Yeah,
with everything. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's more of our brief like just kind of thoughts on a movie. We're not gonna break down the goings on of the movie, the themes of all that. It's what movie is this? How did we like it?
Exactly.
Why you should go see it?
Yeah. Well, we can say why people should go see certain films. But you and I actually kind of split it up. I know you got a little bit of a head start on me, and you were able to watch 3 of the films outside of like Minari.
Yeah.
That I watched, and then by the time I was catching up, I actually went a different route and watched a couple of other films. Ones that I had been meaning to watch kind of a little before jumping into some of the others. So my first Oscar film the big one that I watched this year was Minari with you when we recorded that episode.
That's right. For all of our listeners, if you want, please go watch our episode on Minari. It's a fantastic movie, and we absolutely loved it, and you owe it to yourself to see it.
Yes.
And hear us talk about it.
You can find viewings at your local theater, assuming that they're open, or you could try to find listings on the A24 website. They were doing virtual screenings, try to buy a license for it, and it's an incredible movie.
Yes.
But additionally, I went the route of watching Mank, Trial of the Chicago 7, or The Trial of the Chicago 7, and then after that, Nomadland.
Yes.
And you watched a couple of different ones. I think the one you and I have in common was Minari and Nomadland.
That's right. Yeah, I also saw Nomadland. I saw Sound of Metal, and it's not nominated for Best Picture, but I think it was a very strong movie and should be talked about for specific other reasons. But Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
That's also, I would say, out of our list right here, Nomadland, Mank, Sound of Metal, Trial of the Chicago 7, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom all are available on streaming. Most of them Netflix. Yes. The only ones that are not Netflix is Nomadland and Sound of Metal.
Which Nomadland is on Hulu, and Sound of Metal is on Amazon.
So if you have a subscription to any of these services, all of these can be watched from the comfort of your own home on your own TV. And you're probably paying for one of these services as is. So go ahead and watch those films.
Yeah, for sure.
But going down the list, I will start with Minari, right? This is one of the first one you and I watched. Nominated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Academy Awards this year.
That's
Best
a lot.
Picture, Best Director, Original Screenplay, Best Actor, Supporting Actress, and Original Score. That's 6. Dude, you and I both thought this was an incredible film.
It was an accomplishment. Absolutely.
Yeah. The highlights were Stephen Yeun, Lee Isaac Chung, in his crafting of the story.
And Yoon Jung for supporting actress. She played Soon-ja, the grandmother, in it, and she did a phenomenal job. Yeah.
I would say overall, like, it is quite the contender amongst a lot of these films. What's the next one you got? Let's hear about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. What are the
Rainey's Black Bottom? Give me 1 second, because I actually didn't have that pulled up. Hold on. Here we go. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. All right, it is nominated for Best Actor, Chadwick Boseman, Best Actress, Viola Davis, Best Costume Design, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, and Best Production Design. I would say everything in this movie, in front and behind the camera, it should win. I mean, costume design, absolutely. There is actual aspects of the characters' costumes that are part of their character. Makeup and hairstyling and production design, absolutely, for capturing that 1920s Chicago and the inside of the recording studio. And
Yeah.
I cannot talk highly enough about the level of power in the performances for Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, of course, up for nomination. He'll be, I think, the third posthumous actor to win if he does.
Wow.
Obviously, the last one being Heath Ledger, and I think he would absolutely 100% deserve it because he did a terrific job.
That's, you see. So I feel like this film, being a period piece in a way, I guess, the 1920s, is definitely would probably be a little more authentic of a film versus something like Mank. Not that I didn't like Mank or think it was a little less authentic, but this film nominated for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Academy Awards.
It was actually the most nominated movie out of all of them.
Now I haven't seen Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but I saw Mank. I loved Mank. I did a lot, but I just felt like there was something very overly indulgent in terms of Hollywood about the film that it could cost it in the end awards, and especially when it's up against in terms of production design, costume design, makeup and hairstyling as well. There are other aspects that I feel pretty well, like Gary Oldman's performance as Herman Mankiewicz, excuse me, and even Amanda Seyfried, supporting actress. David Fincher, his direction is quite interesting. Overall, though, it is this is a great movie for people that love this type of I don't know what the hell is so attractive about this movie.
Let me ask you, because this is a sentiment I have heard tossed around a bit, and having not seen the movie, I can't speak to it, but you could maybe. I've heard the film described, maybe not in this exact word, but in the same kind of mindset as masturbatory in terms of how it presents, the Hollywood world.
I mean,
of the day.
Yeah, it's in a different sense than like something that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did, right? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I feel like was more attracted to Los Angeles versus actual Hollywood. Maybe in some ways actual Hollywood. Versus this one it's very much it very much is into like the institutions that make up the film industry of what year was it? The 30s, the 40s.
Right. Okay.
So the golden age, right? And the best thing about it was that it was filmed in such a way that most of like Casablanca or some of these classics that came out of that era were made. Which is where I feel like the overly indulgent part comes from. Like all the characters were very quippy with one another, and not in the way that Hollywood wrote for them to do that specifically, versus how people would have actually have spoken.
So it's a bit stylized.
It was incredibly stylized, and it's so attractive, to a point. But you have to also, I guess, kind of look at it with the lens of like, oh my god, I feel like some self-awareness should have went into this. I'll tell you, it's incredibly entertaining through and through. I enjoyed every little bit of it, but looking at it in comparison to some of these other films being nominated, a lot of these other films are more personable and are more authentic than maybe what this one could come off as.
And just so the people listening, if they don't know, I believe the film is about the making of Citizen Kane, right?
Yeah, it's about the process that Herman Mankiewicz, how he would kind of go about writing it. The film for the late and great. Sorry, his name is escaped my mouth right now.
Who are we talking about?
The ghost of
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles. I love that joke when the Marvel movies were under fire by what's his name?
What's his name? Martin Scorsese.
It's like, oh, this isn't cinema. This is it's a joyrides. This is a theme parks.
It's a theme park.
And then it's like the ghost of Orson Welles agrees that Marvel MCU isn't cinema.
He comes back from the grave just to say that they're not good movies.
Oh my god, I absolutely loved that meme.
Yeah.
But well, I'm sorry, where were we?
Mank, something, Mank.
Mank was incredibly good, but like two of the other films that I watched, like The Trial of the Chicago 7 and Nomadland, and actually even Minari, they were all definitely in a way more important films, just for the stories that were being told in them,
Okay.
And how they resonate with like today's world. Versus Mank, it's like, wow, like it's not the worst. I guess the underlying themes of some of the characters and everything were there, but it's just it was definitely a pat on the back. I still think you personally, I think you would really enjoy the movie. I think you.
I definitely got to watch it. But let's kind of change gears. Let's talk about a movie you and I both watched. A little picture directed by one Chloe Zhao, called Nomadland.
Yeah, what an awesome movie. Oh my god, I love this. I loved every little bit about it.
It was wonderful. We're looking at nominated for Best Picture, Best Director for Chloe Zhao, Best Actress for Frances McDormand, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, and Best Film Editing. I should say Chloe Zhao is up for multiple awards, for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Film Editing. She edited this movie on her own, which I think is pretty amazing.
I'll tell you what's weird. I didn't realize, like, when you watch this movie, it's very small in its scale, like in terms of like the story and everything like that. And
right.
There's only two major like actors, so to speak, in the film. The rest, I would say, are all very real people.
They in fact are 100% real. They got everyone
as opposed to being fake people.
Everyone in this who is not an actor portraying a role, they are playing themselves. So like the character of Swanky, who played Swanky, and Bob played Bob,
so
and
sad.
No, it's fascinating.
Well, yeah, I mean it's fascinating, but like some of the when you find out what happens to some of these people, it's sad.
No, for sure.
But the budget of this film was only about $5 million. I'm like, wow, like I look at Moonlight, right, which was made on a budget of $1 to $2 million.
Right.
And then I look at this and I'm like, I feel like it no way in hell, like, not that it wouldn't cost $5 million, but I can only imagine it probably was just on getting certain locations and things like that to film at. Which is why it would cost them so much in like insurances and stuff like that. Because if Chloe Zhao would take it upon herself to like edit the film, and this is it was photographed by Joshua James Richards, who's also nominated, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is.
Cinematography, like he has worked with her for I want to say a lot of her shorts, like 3 different shorts. So like I can't imagine that they're trying to make $1 off of this, and versus like. They're just putting in the time and work, and literally everything's just going to pay for like travel and just the cost of equipment and certain things like that. So I was just surprised that it $5 million. It looked like it was made for less. Not in a bad way though.
No, it's shot very.
Not that the financials of the film matter in terms of its quality. I don't want to put that there. But it's so good.
Maybe all the filming in Amazon warehouses and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's, Dude, you got to pay the big bucks to show the behind the scenes.
Dude, the story of this film, I would say, is almost as important to me, if not just as important to me as like Minari was.
It's of a similar strain of people, real Americans, just dealing with the struggle to live in contemporary America, and just it is real emotion, and it captures that undying spirit that I feel is so central to the idea of the American dream.
Yeah.
This movie
Very well
kind
put,
of
Zach. God, you just hit the nail on the head with that one.
well, thank you. I feel like, if Minari was about kind of chasing the American dream, this one is kind of about throwing the American dream aside, because it is almost a rejection of the American dream. You have these people who their employment is basically taken from them,
Yeah.
and instead of moving somewhere else and just getting a job somewhere else or settling down somewhere with a family, they choose to live off the land and move about, and I'll take a temporary job here just to pay for myself to be on my own and live, and not sit around in wasting time remembering.
Yeah. It definitely left the biggest hole in me. You know what I'm saying? Like it just left you feeling like some sort of longing for something.
Absolutely.
Dude, it was so wonderfully crafted.
Frances McDormand is she handles the role with such nuance.
Yeah, man. She's like one hell of an actress. And I got
Yeah.
if I look at like her co-nominees in the category, like Viola Davis, Andra Day for United States versus Billie Holiday, and I actually think that's also available on Hulu right now.
Yes,
Vanessa
yes,
Kirby,
yes.
Pieces of a Woman, I think that's on Netflix, and Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. Dude, that's like a pretty tough category. I know. I don't think Frances McDormand won in the Golden Globes.
No, it was Andra Day who won the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
But I mean, Viola Davis. You talk about someone who it's like the role of Ma Rainey was made for her. I feel like everyone uses that gif of her where she's sitting and then she
Picks up her
rolls her eyes
she
and
picks up
gets
her person leaves. I love that one. That's a great one.
yeah. It's such a great bit of character to condense down into like a couple of seconds. But I feel like that's the mentality of Ma Rainey for like the entire film. Is she is so over these record executives and stuff.
Yeah.
That she just channels such an energy, and it's funny because she rides the line between like kind of almost to the point of unlikable, but then as good of an actor as she is, she hits one scene and you just go, nope, I'm 100% on your side. I get everything. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So that I would say that kind of blends in with one of these next movies I kind of want to go in talking about, which is The Trial of the Chicago 7. Nominated for Best Pictures, Best Supporting Actor, Original Screenplay, Cinematography, Original Song, and Film Editing.
And when you say screenplay, there's a distant screaming in the back of my head, and it says Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, well, who also directed the film too. Funny enough.
Yeah.
Before I get into that, there's I guess it's in tandem with the writing, but like Sacha Baron Cohen's character in this, as he's nominated for supporting actor.
He played Abby Hoffman, right?
He did, and his character is just so erratic. I don't want to say erratic, but like he's just so incredibly comical. Being that's some of the background of Sacha Baron Cohen. He plays that role very well. He was actually supposed to play this role like 10 years ago, or 15
Really?
years ago. Yeah, when it was originally supposed to get made, but the writer's strike of like 2007 or 8 happened, and so the film was going to drop. But he was a more appropriate age to play the role, because Abby Hoffman was like in his 30s during this time, and
I
and
think
Sacha
so.
Baron Cohen was as well. Versus now he's how old right now? He's 49.
Older.
Yeah, exactly. But Aaron Sorkin said like, oh, okay, now I'm directing the film. Yeah, I still want you to play the role, or you can still play the role. But his character over the course of the film like develops this, or it's just kind of revealed to us like his the way he speaks and between like the mockery that he holds in court, like for like the judicial system and or the justice system, versus like, oh no, you get the reveal like he's actually quite an intelligent person, and a lot of the nuance of his character comes out. I feel like in one very specific scene that you may have seen on social media, where he's taking the stand, and is being questioned.
Against
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, I feel like that one scene is like incredible. Like just like the two lines where he says, "I think the institutions of our government are wonderful things that are currently populated by some very terrible people." After this entire 2 hours of like just straight, mocking the judge and like trying to not to start riots and things like that, but like just upholding, trying to uphold his values for why we should go against the Vietnam War. It's like it was just really great to have that kind of one sobering thought that like, oh no, he's not just a madman, and he's not here to see the world burn, but he really does like have, a sense of like what's happening, and rock solid foundation too. Honestly, and I guess that is a testament to Aaron Sorkin as a writer, who is, in my opinion, maybe one of the most pretentious celebrities in the writing field. I do not know him. That is solely my opinion and based off of just interviews I've seen him in. It's unfortunate for me that I love every piece of the work that Aaron Sorkin has ever made that I've seen. I haven't watched The West Wing, but most of the films that he's written in the last 15 to 20 years, I feel like I've loved.
He's a great writer. I feel the issues sometimes come from the way he writes things.
Can I just name you the last 5 movies that he's done?
Absolutely.
Okay, so The Trial of the Chicago 7, Molly's Game, Steve Jobs, Moneyball, The Social Network, Charlie Wilson's War. I mean, dude.
Yeah, I mean, and all of those are fantastic films. In the
how many times I've watched Moneyball? I've watched Moneyball so many times.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great
and
film.
Steve Jobs. And
But I feel like I think if people have a complaint about Sorkin, it's that his writing can sometimes come across as unrealistic.
Yeah,
mainly because
what was the thing I heard? I heard a bit about his writing. It's like every character he's ever written has also had like an Oxford degree or something of the sort.
They're all professional speakers. They're all you never have that moment like you've been in like debates or arguments with somebody and then and it's not until like after like a few hours later where you're like, shit, I should have said that. That never happens in an Aaron Sorkin film. That's like everyone always knows exactly what to say in the most like mic dropping way possible.
Additionally, I feel like he's also he doesn't come across as a humble filmmaker, which I guess why do you need to if you're Aaron Sorkin? So it's like he's less relatable for me personally. Someone who aspires to make films, but like, oh my god, the
man knows how to write. I won't.
He does.
Take that.
You know
away
what? I
from
also
him.
hate. I hate his ad for his masterclass. It's like the one line. It's like, damn it, how could that have happened? How could that have happened? And he says, no one has ever started a sentence with "damn it." I said, that's not true. I just hate it. I hate the snarkiness that comes off when he says it.
Yeah, I don't know. I listen. He's given us some of the like the best written lines in cinema. He gave us like I want the truth. You can't handle the
That's
truth.
true.
He Steve Jobs. As much as I sometimes can't stand the dialogue, it's a good film. Um, Now, I want to ask you about some of the supporting players here in Trial of Chicago 7, though.
You mean how they
Namely,
just get better one after the other? Can I
Mark.
also say though,
Yeah.
um, my favorite line from a Sorkin movie? It might
Yeah.
just be the one from Molly's Game, where one of the betters he comes back to Molly to get like a loan because he's lost a lot of money, and she's like, it should be written on every gambler's tombstone. They were just trying to get back to even, and I'm like, oh, as a gambler that hits home.
Nice.
But go ahead.
Um,
The supporting
but
cast.
let's look. I mean, you got Yahya Abdul Mateen the second, Mark Rylance, Joseph
Oh
Gordon-Levitt,
my
Frank
God, Mark
Langella. Tell me about
Rylance.
these.
Mark Rylance was fucking snubbed an award.
You
I
think so?
firmly, I wholeheartedly think so. Mark Rylance was one of the absolute best parts of this movie. He played the lawyer defending the seven. Um, it's technically the film doesn't tell you actually is that there were eight people standing trial on one of the days, but played by Yahya Abdul Mateen, who's also played Doctor Manhattan. Spoiler alert,
Yep.
I guess, in the Watchmen series. Um, but his character wouldn't, who's based off, they're all real people, wouldn't allow himself to be represented by
Oh,
Mark
he
Rylance's
didn't give
character
them the. Okay.
because that wasn't his lawyer. His lawyer was in Oakland, or because he was in the hospital sick, and in reality he had nothing to do with the case they were in court for at all, and he was just kind of roped in there by whatever societal injustice said that was the right thing to do. It really kind of mirrors and mimics a lot of the problems in our judicial system and the law kind of today. Is what like why I think this film is so incredibly important, more important than something like Mank. Just like what it. No, I'm dead serious. Like this film is actually it came out in a great time. You know, it came out like right before the election of what was it, September 25th, 2020. And if you, I unfortunately I didn't watch this film then. I watched it now though, and the relevance is more important now than ever.
That's
I
awesome.
feel, and I feel like how could a story like this not get this recognition? Now, some of these other characters. So Mark Rylance, fantastic. Joseph Gordon-Levitt. At the very end, he gets like he's playing a state prosecutor. And if there's one thing that the state or the head of state during the Nixon era was against were beatniks and hippies and just anti people that were anti-war and anti-establishment, which I guess Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character falls under. He's a man of his institution, but I think he recognizes at the very end, like in the final scene, and I guess parts in between, that he knows what is right versus what is like where that line is crossed.
Right. Right.
I would say another heavy hitter here as just small supporting, not necessarily award winning type stuff, but like just was a very great character was Jeremy Strong, who recently won his first Emmy for his role in Succession as
Nice. Very
Kendall
cool.
Roy. Jeremy Strong was like the number two to Sacha Baron Cohen's Abby Hoffman.
Abbott.
And,
Abbott and Costello.
well, his full name was Abbott, right?
I don't know.
So he played Jerry Rubin, and who went on to become some sort of like incredibly successful businessman and like stock trader or something like that. But he just had like a lot of great one-liners and just some really good stuff. But yeah, no, Mark Rylance as like the defender or the lawyer for all these guys. He the biggest snub, like by far.
Nice.
John Carroll Lynch was also fantastic. He was like
John Carroll Lynch is good in everything he does.
he really is. He had me convinced that he was the Zodiac killer for a number of years.
As Arthur Lee Allen's, because
Arthur Lee Allen is the Zodiac killer.
Yeah, probably.
I don't care who says he wasn't. The evidence points in his direction. He was.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to. Why are we talking about this?
I'm sorry.
No,
sorry. But this is like a great cast of characters. Great film. I'd recommend it in 10 times over 10. Between Mank and The Trial of the Chicago 7, I watched both with my girlfriend, and we both agreed that The Trial of the Chicago 7 was more of an engaging film for her to watch. Yeah.
So I think we're gonna shift to the last movie we really wanted to delve into is a movie I watched on Amazon for anyone who wants to see it as well, and that is Darius Martyr's Sound of Metal.
Yes, please tell me.
Shit.
Tell me everything I need to know about this movie, because when it first was like the rumblings were coming out, I was intrigued, but now they have my attention, as they say.
So this movie is incredible. This movie is so freaking good. We follow. That's it. We're done. We follow Riz Ahmed and Olivia Cook. They play Ruben and Lou, and they are in a metal band, and they tour around. They drive around in their van and play shows, and it is they're very healthy people. But Ruben, he's they're both people who have gotten beyond their abuse problems, and they are, living kind of like a good life. They travel, they play music, they drink nice, healthy smoothies and go to shows and stuff. And then one day, Ruben wakes up and he can't hear.
Oh no.
And let me tell you something. Horror movies, a lot of times, aren't scary. This movie is scary.
In what sense of the word, though?
Because the way it presents hearing loss is so jarring and so intense. And it puts you... There were so many times where I was like instinctively like rubbing my ears because I felt so uncomfortable just with like, there'll be points when it cuts to Ruben's perspective and all you hear is just this din of muffled, just it's not even sound. It's just like the slightest hint of a sound, and it is. You'll see him like sitting through listening to people talk, and it's so affecting. And Riz Ahmed's performance, the level of sheer fear and frustration and anger and desperation that he is able to convey in these scenes is staggering.
Can I tell you something? From a personal point of view, I can only imagine what it's like to be without one of my arms, as I just had surgery in the last week, and I'm without one of my arms right now, so to speak. It's in a recovery process, and it's already a difficult, frustrating time, as I like to do a lot of things for myself. I can only imagine what a permanent, or I guess a more permanent loss of anything could be for anybody. I don't even know.
Absolutely.
Oh my! Did they say what exactly it is? Is it like...
Yes,
tinnitus or something like that?
I don't want to go too far into it because I think part of it is just the experience and him having to fine. Like...
That's fair. I appreciate that. Him
having to like basically go from knowing nothing to just like you see him, he'll go to like a pharmacy to talk to somebody in a medical profession because he just doesn't know what to do. Like, who do you go to see? How do you convey that you can't hear someone when you're talking to them, and then him having to grapple with not only the idea of losing his hearing, but also having to do that as somebody who, they could be one bad day from relapsing into previous destructive behavior, and having to learn how to adapt to a world of deafness, and the decisions that are made in this movie. It's so just, it hits so hard, and you really feel like you're really rooting for the guy. And he goes, and one of the other people who is nominated for this movie is Paul Raci, who is a deaf actor who plays Joe, who's a guy who helps him out in the film. Helps him kind of get him accustomed to living life as a deaf person. And his performance is phenomenal. He does such a great job, because this is very much in the strain of like Minari and Nomadland, where this is telling a real story about like real people. And even though I feel like there are a few more of these scenes of like shouting and like these tearful moments, it feels natural, because this is someone dealing with something very scary. Like, you watch it and you're like, this is terrifying. If one day you just lost one of your senses. But yeah, I mean, this movie, it's nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor for Riz Ahmed, Best Supporting Actor for Paul Raci, Best Original Screenplay, Best Film Editing, Best Sound. I swear to God,
can we talk about something though? This is so this year they're just doing like achievement in sound. They're not doing achievement in sound editing and like sound
and mixing.
Yeah,
right.
You feel like that's kind of like a snub, because in a way they are like different. They are kind of different. I don't want to say techniques. They're different practices, to edit sound, I feel like to how sound is used together. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you always want to give credit to as many people as possible who don't normally get that credit.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you right now, the sound editor of Ford vs. Ferrari won 2019's Achievement in Sound Editing Award, and that was taken home by Donald Sylvester, versus the sound mixing team for Ford v Ferrari was Paul Macy, David Gianmarco, and Stephen A. Marrow. So it's like, there's definitely different credit, unless they're just trying to combine everybody that had anything to do with either of those into just one award. And I guess, but like, you're really limiting people's time for who they want to thank and what's important to them as well. But I guess that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, however they were ever going to do it, 2 awards or 1 award, if this film does not win the award for Best Sound, I don't know what the Academy will be thinking.
I'll tell you what. I'm looking at some of these other nominations right now. Greyhound, Mank, News of the World, Soul, and Sound of Metal is what we're talking about now. Mank, I think it had a very interesting. The overall sound, I would say, is most notable with the dialogue, the way it was. At least it's people listen to it, but I can't imagine it's more interesting than what you're describing for Sound of Metal. Like, it's just they put a filter over everybody's voice, Zach. That's all Mank is. It's just a filter. And I guess News of the World could be more like sound effects, and I'm actually not really familiar with what Greyhound is.
Greyhound is that movie with Tom Hanks about the submarine.
Funny? Isn't News of the World also with Tom Hanks?
It is.
That's funny. But I could definitely see it being more of a Sound of Metal coming out on top in that category.
I promise you watch the movie and it will not even.
And I watched Soul.
Contest.
Soul was good, but I can't imagine, like, Soul's music was great, and some of the other uses of sound, I guess, were fine. But like, just in general, like artistic use of sound, I feel like maybe Sound of Metal sounds more appropriate.
I'll tell you this: there are movies with sound where I go like, oh, that's good. You know, that sounds good. Like Soul, it sounded good.
Mm-hmm.
The sound effects in it and like a lot of the otherworldly sound effects they used for the Great Beyond and the Great Before or whatever. That's all well and good. Sound of Metal made my skin itch.
Oh God.
Like it's so
Can we put that on like the poster?
Yeah, that's
You
my
know,
that's my DVD quote.
That would be awesome.
The sound in this movie made my skin itch. No, I mean, but that's what it is. Its goal is to unsettle you, and it succeeds so much with that because, and by the end of it, you've just been through the emotional ringer. I gotta say, out of all the films I have seen this year, Sound of Metal is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
It's that good.
I would say one of the best movies. It's funny because I texted somebody the other night. I said Mank was probably one of my favorite movies of the last year. It was really good. Though I see its issues in terms of like why it probably shouldn't win more important awards than some of these other films. But Trial of Chicago 7 is also pretty good. Damn it, I'm so conflicted. I'm conflicted with what I want to win versus what I like. I know I enjoyed through and through. I know it's important that I should think about like the contexts of these films and what they're really out here to do. Which one has the most important message, Zach? Come on. Okay, so out of all the films that we talked about, I guess the majority of them are all nominated for Best Picture we talked about earlier. What do you feel like? Do you feel like you can make a pretty apt analysis based on what you've seen and what's on the list that we haven't seen, being The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, and Promising Young Woman, to decipher what you think is going to win Best Picture?
I would say I would say probably it would not surprise me if Nomadland won.
Okay.
Because it is I feel like it's the award darling, right? Deservedly so. It is very good.
Do you doubt Hollywood's ability to think that Mank was the best thing they've ever seen?
So that was the flip side I was going to say is like, do I have enough faith in the Hollywood
the Academy of Arts and Sciences,
the monster that it is to back off and not nominate Mank. I would love if Nomadland or Minari won. I think it would be amazing. Mank, it's not that it doesn't sound interesting. It sounds interesting, but like when you have all these very human stories, and then you have like it's Hollywood and we're talking Hollywood. I would say
it's kind of made the sifting through of these films easier, which sucks. I mean, depending on like the how you kind of go through, or I guess how if you were a voter, for example, like how you would kind of sift through as to which ones you would choose. Which is kind of interesting because I feel like The Father is just another one of these personal stories. You know, it's about Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman. I guess her father's age is debilitating. Him
that can,
and
that can be a very intense thing to go through.
Yeah.
So
and then Judas and the Black Messiah as well is like another very important story about the kind of the FBI's involvement in
the Black Panthers.
In the Black Panthers, and I'm like, dude, like these are all very like on theme right now, like with some of these other films, and then Promising Young Woman as well, like the revenge tale that maybe most women would want in the height of, let's say, the Me Too movement and social justice and things of the like. I would say overall, like this is a difficult year. This is a hard year for me, as a precursor. I feel like what was it last year? I could kind of look up at the awards and think to myself, what won last year? It wasn't Joker. It was
no. Last year was Parasite,
Oh
absolutely
yeah, yeah,
deservedly
yeah. Oh yeah.
so.
Parasite, like it really did win everything, and it was awesome that it did. I actually, you want to hear something super cool? Um,
Yes.
so the Coral Gables Art Cinema that I frequent here in Miami, they were having like a poster drive, like in order to raise funds like for donations, and
Hmm.
we went a day ago, 2 days ago, and we picked up a couple of posters. One of them being a Parasite poster.
Oh, nice. Very
I was
cool.
super happy about it. I asked the guy there. He's I would say he does a lot of the coordinating for the theater itself. And I said, hey, listen, my first time at this theater, I saw 50th anniversary 2001 Space Odyssey in 70 millimeter, and I know you guys have a poster on here. I want it. And then he came over. He's like, I'll be honest with you, I think I have all of them at home. And I said, you know what? Good on you, though. If there's a poster worth having, it might be that one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no. And now that I think about it, last year might not be a good example of what I want to talk about earlier. But Parasite, wow, fantastic. That was, what were all some of the other nominations? Do we have enough time? I know this is a little bit of a
No,
shorter episode, but
yeah, no, for sure. Last year there was 1917, Ford vs. Ferrari, The
mhm.
Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, I could definitively say that Parasite was probably the best out of all of those.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
listen, I loved all those movies, but I Parasite was just
that was
such
an
a
incredible experience.
it
That
was
was
such
like
an electric film.
no other film made me feel a certain type of way at the very end, or at least entertain me in a way that a movie should. And also
That's
like bring important themes to the table and have great characters and like just everything was so perfect. The music, just everything was so great about that film.
that's how Sound of Metal made me feel. Is just like when it wants you to feel scared, it scares you. When it wants you to feel like sad and happy and and horrified and emotional, it knows exactly how to do that. And I love that it is such a singular vision of its creator.
Yeah.
Darius Martyr waited like 13 years to make this film so he could cast the right person for the role, someone who could commit to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, Riz Ahmed did like learn sign language and stuff for the film. I
he
think I
did learn
read.
sign language. He learned how to play the drums for it.
He's
Um,
like not a crazy method actor. We hear about all these like Jared Leto's and all these other guys, Christian Bale's, but I would say Riz Ahmed has never given me. I've never had to side eye him. Like, what is this guy doing? You know?
but no, he absolutely fantastic. If Chadwick Boseman didn't win the best actor category, for best actor, I would put it between Chadwick Boseman, Riz
hmm
Ahmed, and Steve Yen.
Oh wow. Yeah, I would agree.
For who I think should take this one away.
Someone,
And I also like that Sound of Metal also kind of
another
like
year
how
we take it away from Anthony Hopkins.
oh well. But kind of like how Nomadland, a lot of its actors were actual like nomadic living people.
Yeah, yeah.
Sound of Metal had a lot of like actual like deaf actors in it, which I think was a really cool way to be inclusive and true to the community.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that. Yeah, dude. I mean, overall, I feel like we have a really great list of films. Like I said, I was looking back at another year, like the year prior, where Green Book won Best Picture. It was up against Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Roma, A Star Is Born, and Vice.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel like I could pick out maybe like Black Klansman was incredible. Um, A Star Is Born was okay. Vice, it grew on me. I really like Vice now. Black Panther was
Yeah,
a great feat. Bohemian Rhapsody does not deserve to be on that list.
yeah,
Um,
it's
as much as a fan of Yorgos Lanthimos, I am. The Favorite, I did not love it. But I think I'm alone in my thought of that. Um, I was not crazy with that one.
hmm.
Um, yeah, but I don't know. This is a really good list overall. Like so
It's
far.
yeah. Definitely, we are not starved for good entertainment. Here's a good one. Who do you think should win Best Director?
And the nominees are Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round, David Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Chloe Zhao, Nomadland, and Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. You know, Emerald Fennell was also in The Crown.
Yeah?
Yeah, she was...
in it? Like, as an actor?
Yeah, she played, what's her name? Prince Charles's now wife. I'm not, it's funny.
Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall.
Yes. I didn't know she directed. I'll be honest. But
There you go.
out of
Now
all these nominees, I don't want to say David Fincher. I'm sorry. I don't want to say it. I think this is an award more deserving of either Lee Isaac Chung or Chloe Zhao.
100%.
From my own viewings.
100%, I agree.
I can't say anything about Emerald Fennell or Thomas Vinterberg as I haven't seen those films, but I could probably strongly say that I will have enjoyed Mank, Minari, and Nomadland a lot more. But Minari and Nomadland, I would say, are better feats, especially for these directors. These were like smaller, more intimate films, and the vision of these both writer directors, I feel like really came out really well.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm looking like, Best Actress, I think we've said, Viola Davis, Andra Day, Frances McDormand, they're all terrific. Best Supporting Actor, there's Sacha Baron Cohen, David Kaluuya, Leslie Odom Jr., Paul Raci, Lakeith Stanfield, who apparently is not a supporting actor.
He's the lead
Black
actor.
Messiah. So it's a little weird.
I like that he still took it. Versus, he's like, I'm confused too, but fuck it. Like, I'll take it. Like,
and
I like the attitude, but he
Oscar.
should get the recognition that he deserves.
Yeah. And then for Best Supporting Actress, Maria Bakalova for Borat 2, Glenn Close, Olivia Colman, Amanda Seyfried.
I'm sorry,
and
Zach. I don't think you finished your sentence. You said Borat 2 or Borat subsequent movie film delivery of prodigious bribe to American regime for make benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan.
That is exactly the movie. But yeah, all of them, Amanda Seyfried and Yoon Jung. I gotta say, I really would love to see Yoon Jung win. It would be terrific.
Well, listen, man, it's only a couple short weeks away. The Academy Awards are April 25th this year, 2 months after their regularly scheduled programming in February. So we don't have much more time to wait. In the meantime, we can catch up on some of these other films that we have yet to see, like The Father, like One Night in Miami. I can watch Sound of Metal. You can watch Trial of the Chicago 7.
That's true.
And you can watch Mank. I think you'll enjoy Mank. But know that it's all right. It's okay.
That's okay.
But I'm super excited. And we would also love to make sure that you guys are excited for the Academy Awards this year as well. What films have you seen that you want us to watch? Maybe what are some snubs that you thought should have been nominated? Let us know in our comments section on any of our platforms. Make sure you follow us at ScripterScreen on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Visit our website, www.scripterscreen.com or anchor.fm/ScripterScreen.
Make sure you tell us. Yeah, just make sure you tell us what you want to see when. Tell us what you want to hear us talk about in the future. And
I think we'll have some of these movies as episodes in the future. I'm not going to lie. They're worth talking about, I think.
Absolutely. And stay tuned for the next one. Make sure you catch up on our backlog of amazing and expertly hosted episodes and expertly edited episodes. And I suppose that's about all we got.
And I'd like to thank Zach, and I'd like to thank Billy, and I'd like to thank the audience. And
can we get some playoff music?
And please, no, I just love you guys. Have a great weekend, and bye.
Bye.